thank you very much. Tennessee lawmakers discussing the future of Memphis-Shelby County schools today at the state capitol. A bill moving through the General Assembly would allow for the state to come in and take over the district. It's sponsored by Memphis Representative Mark White, and while some say change is needed, others say it's a matter that belongs in the hands of Shelby County voters. Joining us now to share their thoughts are MSCS board members Amber Hewitt Garcia and Michelle McKissick. Ladies, welcome. Glad to have you here at 3 p.m. How's everybody doing?
Thank you for having us. Doing okay.
Doing okay. There's a lot going on today. We heard Representative Mark White introducing his bill today in a subcommittee. Mark White saying in so many words that, change is needed. What's been going on with our school district here in Memphis and Shelby County isn't working. What do you ladies say about that?
Well, I do think that change is needed, but I just don't believe this is the way to go about doing it, where you are eradicating the entire elected current board in terms of having a real voting power and bringing in appointed members. I just don't think that's the way to do it, but I do believe change is needed.
Amber, how do you see it? What needs to be done here? What do you think about the Mark White bill?
Well, I think it's responsive to the community. I think the community is very frustrated. I think Michelle and I were, passionate about a path forward that showed that we can demonstrate good governance, that we could problem solve together, focus on the real issues, and had overwhelming public support for our superintendent, and they didn't feel listened to. So I think the change is right, but I think this bill really erodes democracy. It takes away, I think, what will feel like a victory is really a surrender of your power of vote over what is a board of managers in this bill.
Sure. I wanted to talk with you more about that the two of you especially came out very supportive of Dr. Marie Fagans, the former superintendent, but you said yesterday at a news conference a lot of people were very passionate about their feelings when it comes to a state takeover. Michelle, why is your position still the same about Fagans, and how does this kind of meld into this bill that we're talking about here?
I'm still supportive of the former superintendent. I was supportive of what the people wanted, and that was to retain the superintendent who was on a pathway of making changes to make a difference in our district, which is what the state wanted. I'm really frustrated by what's happened, how we are that much closer now to having a takeover or intervention, because in a sense this is a self-inflicted wound by this board. Because whereas maybe Representative White had been wanting to do something like this for a while, this board handed it to him on a silver platter, or at least some other members of the board, in their decision, and gave the reasoning or the excuse to make it happen.
I've heard some people, Amber, saying, wait a minute, we are forgetting about our children. We are forgetting about our young people here, that this school district has more than 100,000 students. It's the largest school district in the state of Tennessee, and that we're not really talking about that. Is that the focus that we're losing here?
I think any day that we don't talk about kids as the primary subject, it's a shame, right? Like, it takes away the focus from what we should be thinking about in terms of curriculum, family supports, school safety, our facilities, right? All of the things that matter to our kids and how they show up. But I think the other thing with this bill is that I've had multiple parents reach out to me saying, we're pulling our children from Memphis-Shelby County schools.
Wow.
The threat of the unknown, the chaos that this has ensued and created. And then I think about all of our teachers and our administrators who are sitting there wondering what's going to happen to me under this new model. So I think about kids every day, and I think about our parents who have to make decisions about their child's education as well. And so I think if they're listening, want to know that we, no matter what seat we're sitting in, we're going to be focused on that.
Michelle, one part of this debate, I know the two of you have heard as well, has been when it comes to the Achievement School District. Some people have said when the state took that over, it did not do a good job, that they would give it a failing grade. What makes you feel that they could do this job better this time around, or do you?
I'm not certain. Those are genuine concerns. The Achievement School District, or ASD district, 10 years the state had responsibility over that district to be a turnaround school district. It did not happen. Those schools were turned back over to Memphis Shelby County Schools. So that's a valid concern. Like, what's going to happen now that's going to be different from the ASD? And how can we make sure that students really do improve? Because that's what we all want.
We're almost out of time here. Is there any type of compromise, though, that can be reached? We've heard some people saying maybe something can be worked out here that the state would be happy with, the folks here at Shelby County School District could be happy with. Amber, is there?
Yeah, I think for me, as long as I think preserving those transformational aspects of the bill, we do want to improve literacy, we want to improve chronic absenteeism, but something like an expansion of the board where you match city and county size, right? You add additional voices and listen to the people about the immediate need to have new representation, but we're not take away the democratic process, right? I think there is a path, and I hope to see some amendments coming from folks who are concerned about democracy.
One last thing, Michelle, for you. A lot of people are wondering, have been speculating, will this possibly mean the return of Marie Fagans as superintendent or in another title over this school board if it does take place?
Well, clearly that won't be our decision if this bill goes through, but I know that's some talk that some people want at the state level and even locally, so we'll see what happens next. I just want to do what's best for children and get past this. But we'll
support who's there.
We shall see for sure. Michelle, thank you. Amber, thank you. Come on back to the 3 o'clock anytime. We'd love to have you here to continue this very needed conversation.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
We're going to take a short break. We will be back in just a moment.